welcome to our next episode of Simon Says, Let's Talk Business on Business RadioX. I'm your host, Al Simon with Sandler. And on Simon Says, Let's Talk Business, we talk to very, very high-profile business professionals, high-performing business professionals who have great skills and who share those skills, ideas, and concepts with us and their best practices. So we can listen and learn, take notes, and get to know really smart people. So do that today because our guest is going to share some things with you, and especially if you have anything to do with security of your networks and your infrastructure, you'd better listen up, take some notes, because you're going to want to talk to Ken later. Of course, as always, at the end of our show, we'll spend a few minutes talking about a letter or an email sent to me from a listener asking about sales in our Ask Al segment. So today we have Ken Fee. Welcome, Ken.
Thanks, Al, for having me.
Absolutely. Ken Fee is the founder and CEO of BTA, Business Technology Architects. And
yes.
You do.
It's a mouthful.
It is. We can just say BTA. Will be okay with you?
BTA is fine with me.
Excellent. Okay. And you've been doing this for quite a few years?
Yeah. We started BTA in 2010. It's been an interesting journey.
All right. And I love your mission, Ken. Your mission is to meet customers where they are, simplify complex technology deployments. All right. Can you explain what is a complex technology deployment and how do you simplify it?
So today's technology world, there's 100 different things going on when you're delivering an application for your users, your internal users, your customers. You have to worry about securing it. You have to worry about performance. You have to worry about so many things. Where are you storing data? How are you securing that data? Right. And there's just a lot of moving parts in that. And, I was a Marine for just under 13 years. And I spent the last 8 years of that time really focused on simplifying technology deployments because we had to do it 20, 30 times a year.
Okay.
So we had to standardize things. And we had to make it so that anybody could follow a set of procedures and go out and execute. And in the commercial world now, and I've been in the commercial world going on 25 years now. I've been on the Marine Corps since 1998. But there's
seen some changes in technology. Wow.
We go from Y2K and everybody worrying about
I remember
2-digit dates. But the economy's changed. The economy's driven on data and information now.
Right.
It's we're very much a service and information economy versus right now we're not. We've had manufacturing challenges, obviously.
Yes. Supply chain, inflation,
Yeah, but when it comes to simplification, over the years, organizations tend to develop things or deploy things in ways to solve a problem of immediacy.
Right.
Versus solving a problem strategically. And when you solve, and you don't, a lot of times you're trying to put out a fire.
Okay.
You're trying to, deploy a new claims management system or deploy a new front-end web-facing portal for your customers.
Right.
And then you start layering features on top of these things. And now, we've got all these cyber threat actors going on. There's there's some kind of ransomware or cyber attack that we get news about 2 to 3 times a week, it feels like. And so the more complexity you add to those environments, the harder it is to secure it and to know how to operate and maintain it. And so, our approach to this is to, look at problems architecturally, define what an architecture is, and then figure out what are the technologies that you need to plug into that architecture so that you can operate and deliver the services that your organization needs to deliver.
So you're talking about these layers, and that's the architecture you're talking about, different layers?
Yeah, absolutely.
Of your systems? Okay.
Yeah, it's network architecture, it's application architecture, it's security architecture. Okay. There's so many facets of this.
Yeah, so the idea is to secure the data.
Absolutely.
Right? Keep it safe from viruses and malware and just bad actors.
Yes.
But also make it easy for your people and your customers to work with you.
Yeah, you can make a very secure network that nobody could use, or you could, security it's a cost-benefit analysis. It's what's it cost you to secure your environment. We've seen customers that have had their whole infrastructure locked up by ransomware.
Ooh.
And it's taken them 6, 8, 10 weeks to recover, and basically their businesses are shut down for those periods of time.
So they have to pay up, and
they either have to pay up or they just have to start from scratch, and that's that can destroy a business. You could go out of business.
I can imagine. So that's what your customers pay you for, is to make sure that it doesn't happen?
Yeah, okay. Absolutely. That's big part of that security piece. The other piece of that is what's the cloud? What do you do in your own infrastructure, on your on your own premise, or in a co-location data center, or do you go to Amazon or Azure or Google and consume cloud services? And the answer is probably some of both for most customers. Very few customers go all in on cloud.
Right.
So it's we find that hybrid strategies are the gateway to simplification and modernizing applications.
Okay. So what kinds of companies and people do you work with, Ken?
We work with Fortune 500 companies all the way down to software startups.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
So just about anybody.
What we do around security and infrastructure, everybody needs it. Yeah. Everybody has that business requirement.
Okay.
And there's probably more of our customers right now are very focused on securing their data and their workloads. Everybody's got virus protection.
Right.
Virus protection hasn't stopped ransomware. The bad actors are getting more sophisticated more quickly, and there are approaches that you can take to help secure that information or help defend the network or defend the workload.
Right.
And we've done a great job of training users to not click on links, but a user will always click on a link.
if it's blue,
if it's blue and somebody wants to give them a free iPad, they're going to click on it, right?
Right.
And that's one of those things. It's a constant reinforcement with the end user. And so the last line of defense is where that data and those workloads live, and it's in your data center or in your cloud instance where your workloads are running, and that's your most critical data. I could lose a laptop tomorrow, and it's not a big deal. But if I lost my CRM, or I lost all the financial information for the last 10 years of my company, that's hard to replace data, especially, and yes, there's backups, but if the system's compromised, is the backup good? Yeah. When did it get compromised?
Right.
A lot of these threats happen 6, 9, 12 months before, they infiltrate 6, 9, 12 months before they actually execute. Yes. And so if you don't have a good backup for over 12 months, then where are you?
Yes. So you're not selling software or hardware. You're consulting with people, helping them to figure out how to structure it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We've taken the approach that we don't want to be any one vendor's mouthpiece. There are vendors that we know very well and we're very familiar with, but we also understand where their strengths and their weaknesses are. Mm-hmm. And so when we get brought into a customer to work with them on an engagement, we're like, okay, what's the business objective? And if we talk about what the business objective is, then we can start layering in what's the right technology.
Okay, so and reverse engineer.
Yeah, and I don't think about it as reverse engineering. I think about it as going about it the right way. A lot of times technology gets purchased and then they try to figure out how to solve a problem with what they bought.
Yes.
And we get brought into our share of those kind of engagements also. It's not uncommon, but it's a unique approach. We do a lot of mentoring and teaching along the way. I've been in the education business from the time I worked at Cisco for 6 years, Cisco Systems.
Okay.
And when I left there, I worked for a training company, and we were really good at doing training, but we weren't tremendous at doing professional services or consulting.
Okay.
And so when I left that company, that's when we founded BTA, because we wanted to lead with architecture consulting so that we could proactively solve a problem versus reactively solve a problem.
So go about it the right way. Let's figure out what we're trying to accomplish, and then let's figure out what it needs to look like.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Now, the range of companies you mentioned that you work with, a lot of those folks have people already on staff that are supposed to do network and security. And
they do.
Why would they need you?
It's really about transformational technologies like in the data center. We used to manage a lot of things very disparately. We'd if we had 100 devices, we'd have to log into 100 devices and go manage them.
Yeah.
And now there's a thing called software-defined networking, and we're very, I guess you'd call us very deep in that technology, and that we help customers make a transition from a traditional networking environment to a software-defined networking environment. And that's changing an operating paradigm for network engineers that have known how to do these things for 10, 20 years.
But theoretically, it makes their life easier, though, right?
It does if they're willing to adopt, more of it's almost like adopting a software development methodology versus a infrastructure operations methodology. And then on the security side, it's those threats evolve so quickly, and you can deploy a firewall, you can deploy virus protection, you can deploy data loss prevention kind of tools. But really, I would say in the last 3 to 4 years, technology has gotten to a maturity level where NIST, National Institute Standard, NIST 800 is they publish a security framework.
Okay.
And the security framework calls for what we call zero trust. It used to be you would block what you know was bad, and then you'd allow everything else, which is somewhat...
Except there's more and more bad every day, right?
There's more and more bad every day. And so now we take the approach of what should these applications be doing, who should they be talking to on what ports and protocols, and then we just say, okay, this is what's allowed, everything else is denied. And that's the most clear path to actually mitigating risk around any kind of cyber threat.
That does make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's keep everybody out until they can prove that they belong in.
Yeah, they need to authenticate. There's a lot of components to zero trust, and it really spans an enterprise. Zero trust isn't a product, it's a strategy. It's an architecture.
Okay. Is that the next big buzzword, zero trust, or is what else is coming?
It is one of the current, it's one of the current buzzwords, and I think most people in the security industry are trying to articulate how they support your zero trust initiatives.
So they're trying to figure it out.
Yeah, there's authentication products, there's encryption products, there's I put users into groups, and that group's allowed to access this particular server or system or set of data on the a little bit of airplane
yeah, we need
hangover.
to tell our listeners that you had the red eye last night.
I had the red eye night last night from Vegas, so
it's
a week in Vegas, and now I'm back in Atlanta. So
it's sharp as a tack.
Yeah, hey, I was a Marine.
There you go, always ready. Okay, all right. Well, so if a company thinks they might want to work with BTA, but their current IT team doesn't really have the bandwidth or experience level to handle it, can they still work with you, or what does that look like?
Absolutely. Our core mission, we want to meet customers where they are, and some customers they're overwhelmed. There's tremendous technology talent shortage.
I've heard that
in the U.S. and globally, and it's hard to make these people. So our approach to services is always to be mentoring who we're working with, and most of the time we get brought in because we know X or Y very, very well, and we can prevent. When I say prevent, we can head off challenges at the pass in that we've done this 100 times. We do this every day, all day.
Yes.
And so our goal is to help customers avoid mistakes, avoid going down a rat hole or painting themselves in a corner or whatever other analogy you'd like to use there. But we've all done that. Hey, I wish I would have done it differently. And what we bring to the table is a ton of experience. We're very focused on process. We've built a service delivery methodology that builds in a lot of checkpoints for us along the way, where we're very clear about what the expectations are at the beginning.
Okay.
We define those, we document them, get the customer to sign off on them before we move into the next phase. And so that's
that's the simplify part, right?
Yeah, that's the simplify part.
Yeah.
And our methodology is called SIMPLE.
Okay.
It's start, immerse, map, prove, launch, and evolve.
That's actually an acronym, SIMPLE.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
right.
we made that because about 2016, 2017, we're probably doing 70 or 80 projects a year with a very small team, less than 30 people, and every project was a little bit different. And project managers were different, engineers were doing different things, and what we found was 90 to 95% of all the things that we were doing needed to be the same, and that 5 to 10% was vocabulary. You could call that vertical vocabulary. If you had that, then you could say, yeah, I'm good in medical, I'm good in finance or insurance or defense or wherever it may be.
Makes sense.
And that's just core to what everybody has. Infrastructure, everybody has security needs. So what you call it, I don't care. I care, but I don't care. It's one of those, if I know what you call it, I can help normalize your vocabulary.
So basically what you're saying, Ken, is that when you come in to a company that has a current set of people and infrastructure, you're going to simplify it, make it more effective, and then teach the people to be able to handle it from there.
Yeah, we're trying to help them onboard something. They bought a new data center platform, or they bought a new security platform.
Right.
We want to help them get that platform deployed and operational as quickly as possible. We want them to be prepared to operationalize it, because you have to care and feed for things, and you have to do regular maintenance, you have to do checks, you have to do capacity planning, and a lot of technology resale companies, they sell you something like, here, here's your box.
Right.
And like, okay, we'll see you later. And then the customer's left to figure it out, and sometimes it gets adopted, and sometimes it doesn't. It could be perceived as bad, very, very bad or very, very good, depending on the experience. And sometimes it's down to the individual who was put in charge of the project. If they're a go-getter and they want to figure it out, they're going to make it go great. If there's somebody that's like, I've got 10 other projects on my plate, I'm not terribly excited about this, I'd like to do something else.
Yes.
It's a exercise in influencing people.
Because a haphazard deployment is an ineffective deployment.
It's ineffective, and it will create fires. It'll create service outages, and service outages are dollars.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, this is Al Simon with Sandler, and the show is Simon Says Let's Talk Business, and we've been talking with Ken Fee. Ken is the founder and CEO of Business Technology Architects, BTA. And Ken, if our listeners want to get a hold of you, and I'm pretty sure a bunch of them do, what's the best way?
They go to gobta.com, gobta.com.
Okay.
That's our website.
Gobta.com.
Or they can send an email to sales@gobta.com.
Oh, you said my favorite word, sales.
Yes.
Yeah. Sales@bta.com.
Gobta.com.
I'm sorry, I messed up. Say sales@gobta.com.
Yeah.
All right.
And then, or they can reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm on all the social media, LinkedIn, Twitter.
Ken Fee, F-E-E.
Yeah, Foxtrot Echo. It's entirely too simple.
There you go. Love it. All right. Well, Ken, thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Fascinating business, and I'm sure you do it very, very well. And I'll bet you have happy customers because they don't get attacked, right?
Correct.
Excellent. Okay, well, now it's time for us to transition to our Ask Al segment. We have listeners who send in questions about sales or sales management, and we select one each show to answer here on the air. And by the way, if you have a question, anybody of our listener audience who has a question on sales or sales management, and they want to submit it for me to answer on the air, then you can send it to al.simon@sandler.com. al.simon@sandler.com. And today the question, Ken, is I am 2 years from a business degree. Should I consider a career in sales? Run as fast as you can. Go to the Marines first. I don't know. Do something else. No, it's okay.
I love sales. I love talking to customers and talking to people. And if you like talking to people, and it's not just about talking; it's more about listening. If you like listening to people,
there you go.
and hearing where their challenges are, and then trying to put together a solution to solve that problem, you'd be a great salesperson.
Well, the problem we have in my industry, Ken, is that people who are it's typically young people, folks like this. This could be this could be a middle-aged person that's gone back to college to get a business degree. But you could think about it as this way: people say, "Hey, you should be in sales," and why do they usually say that? Because that person has the gift of gab, as we used to call it. Right? They're good at talking and say, you should be in sales. And it's actually the opposite of what you just said. They'd be better off if they were good at listening. But anyway, the overall question here is, should I consider a career in sales? And here's what I find. I find that there's two types of folks out there who consider a career in sales. The first type I call salespeople, right? And the second type I call sales professionals. And there's a big difference. Salespeople typically are looking for a job, right? They want a job. They're not sure if they should be a sales job or not, but they heard that many sales jobs are high paying, which is true, by the way. You look at all the different studies about professions and what people make, and on average, sales is usually at or near the top.
Absolutely.
And so you can make money in sales. You can do that. You can also wash out in a half a year, and now find yourself waiting tables. So not that there's anything wrong with waiting tables. I should be politically correct here, bottom line is a lot of folks that I come across as a trainer and coach aren't really committed to the profession of sales. They're not really committed to it. And so therefore, they're already halfway out of sales, if they're not really committed to it, because they're not really going to put all they need to put into it, because it's tough. It is a tough job. All right, especially if there are no good inbound leads. You got to go generate your own. All right, and people don't want to talk to salespeople, so then it's all about email, blah blah blah. If you don't know how to make it happen live, you're exchanging emails, which makes you a commodity when you do that, which means that you're not low cost provider. You're going to lose anyway. People have no idea how to turn that around. It's a tough job, and so a lot of folks who go into sales as a salesperson don't make it. In fact, most of them don't. But there are people who go into sales, a sales career, as looking to be a sales professional. What does that mean? That means just like in your business, Ken, you got to get certifications. You got to have ongoing education. You got to be committed to growing your skills and processes, knowledge base. Same thing with professional salespeople. They need to be committed to growing their skills, committed to high performance, and consistently up in the game. And when people do that, they do well in sales. So you want a career in sales? Really, really go after it. You want just a job? Don't try sales. And that's the sales tip for today on our Ask Al segment. This is Al Simon with Sandler. The show is Simon Says, Let's Talk Business. Ken, thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me. It's been great.
And as always, folks, good selling.